Happy Baby Name Monday, everyone. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend. Please ignore my extremely dark eyebrows. I've just this second got in from having them done. And today is going to be such a cool list. This is long and pretty girl names with a kind of masculine vibe, shorter nickname. I absolutely love this. I would say it's a trend, but obviously this has been around since Charlotte became Charlie, Frances became Frankie, but there are so many more rare and gorgeous options if you're having a baby girl. Hit subscribe so you don't miss any baby name videos. And just to say, if you have already pre-ordered Baby Name Envy, it is actually officially out now. Well, it releases on Thursday, so if you've pre-ordered you'll get your copy on Thursday, but I found a couple in Waterstones this weekend. They've gone early. I can't wait for you to get your hands on it. It's a whole new way of choosing a baby name that you will love. It's got interactive style quizzes, conversation starters, journal prompts, as well as over 1,000 modern names, all organised by theme and passions. You're gonna definitely find a baby name you love here. Can't wait for you to get your hands on it. Please send me a pic on Instagram if you do get yours. So I'm starting off with a name that is very well known. Let's ease ourselves into this. So the name Harriet, one of my favourite names. There were actually only 62 baby girls called Harriet last year, so a real vintage gem that's not being overused. And then obviously you have Hattie as a nickname, which I do really love, but you also have Harry, which is such a cool girl name. Both names kind of mean home ruler or ruler of the homes. I think it's really lovely for a little homebody. And actually Harriet originally came from the French name Henriette. And I quite love Henrietta. I was trying to see if it's being used, but 89 girls are actually called Henrietta, so it's even more popular than Harriet. I've not heard it. Have you heard it around? I thought it was totally extinct. But yeah, Harriet, nickname Harry, easing us into this theme. Aurora, gorgeous name, really popular at the moment, just trending, but not massively well known. It's still such a beautiful name. It means dawn because she was the goddess who used to pull the sun up into the sky in the morning. I think it is so whimsical, so charming, and I love the idea of using the nickname Rory. I think that is so lovely, just this juxtaposition of this trend. I absolutely love. There were 21 girls named just Rory last year as their first name. Obviously you could go either way around for these. And Rory means red king. So it's a really lovely name with this sort of sunshiny redness, a really evocative name. And I really do think that Rory is so trendy for a little girl. This next one goes the wrong way around for me. So the name Magnolia, beautiful floral name, was only given to 8 girls last year. So you get that really long floral name. There's so many so high up in the charts, but this one's totally underused. And then you get Noah as a nickname. I feel like with some of these more masculine for girl names, it might be a little bit braver, but actually we're pretty brave because Noah is actually higher up in the charts. There were 205 girls named Noah. And Noah actually means movement. Without the H, it means movement, which is really funny because with the H, it means to rest. Obviously, it's our #1 boy name, so really ripe for the picking for our little girls, but I absolutely love the idea of this beautiful long floral name, Magnolia, with that real funky nickname. Really spiking at the moment on a big upward trajectory is the nickname Lenny for girls. Lenny was traditionally a male name for Leonard, but we're loving it for our girls. It could be short for Magdalena originally or Helena, but I wanted to find a long name that felt more modern. So I found Leilani, which is a Hawaiian name meaning heavenly flower, Lenny meaning light. The whole thing has such a gorgeous meaning with this heavenly flower that brings you light, and you'd have a really trendy nickname, but you'd have that beautiful long girl name as well. If you're sort of battling the two styles in your head, I think this is a perfect way to get both in. Aurelia, another one a bit like Aurora that is newly popular, and I think that's really good because it means we don't have any sort of real world associations with those names from our childhood. I don't know how old you are, but I never knew any Aurelias growing up. A gorgeous name meaning golden. And then you get Ray as a nickname. So Ray was like a typical granddad name for Raymond, but spelt R-A-E is how it's gaining a lot of popularity for girls. There were actually 122 girls named Ray as a first name. Evelina's bestie is also called Ray. It's a gorgeous name, but it means female sheep or a ewe, which is probably why Rachel has got the same meaning. So if you're honouring a Rachel, then an Aurelia with the nickname Ray could be really, really cool. Or if your name's Rachel, I think that that's really sweet. Liberty. I really have always liked the name Liberty. To me, it's really strong, really empowering. Think of New York with the Statue of Liberty, but also I think of Elizabeth. I just think it's really cool, and it's really surprising how far down it is. There's only 51 girls who were called Liberty last year, and it gives you the most adorable nickname of Bertie, which I just am crushing on for a little girl. There were no girls with the first name Bertie last year. Actually, it only ranks if there's 3 or more, because I do know one little girl called Bertie as her full first name, but it has to be 3 or more for them to register it on the Office of National Statistics. So you'd have a really, really gorgeous name, really strong female name, Liberty, that's really low down the charts, and an even rarer, funkier nickname. Bronte. I've always loved the name Bronte. It feels really, really modern. It means thunder, so it's got a really cool meaning, but also its literary vibes of the Bronte sisters gives it that sort of vintage style as well, even though it's not really a vintage name as a first name, but I really love it with nickname Ronnie. So Ronnie is quite a well-known gender neutral nickname. It's really popular for boys, but I do hear it for girls, but it was always for Veronica. And I actually think that Bronte gives a bit more of that modern it girl vibe to it rather than a Veronica. There were actually 55 girls given the first name Ronnie with the IE ending, which is how we like to do our vintage girl names, and that's actually the right way. It should be a Y for a boy is masculine, so my Freddy should really end with a Y, but he's an IE as well. Ronnie for a girl, it's got bags of style. I feel like when they get to their teens, it would be so lovely to be able to go by Ronnie. There were only 7 girls called Esmeralda last year. Esmeralda, do you like it? It's a long, complicated Spanish name. It actually means emerald, which makes me love it because it's giving wicked vibes. But it's a really beautiful name. It's actually a Disney name as well. Actually from the novel The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So you could go with Esmeralda and have this really beautiful, rare, long name with an even rarer, boyish nickname, Ezra. So Ezra means helper, a biblical name that's become really trendy for our boys, but I do see it on a few forums as a girl name, so I do predict it's going to start to get used for boys, for girls. At the moment it's not getting used for girls at all, but I do predict it's one that could rise. Theodora. I love the name Theodora. I think it is really classic, but not overused again. So it's a bit like a Victoria, but it's really different and gives you, I have a Theo obviously as a nickname, but what I absolutely love is Teddy as a nickname. This is Robbie Williams' daughter, Theodora, who goes by Teddy. And I just think it is so cool for a girl. You could spell it T-E-D-D-I or just T-E-D-I. It actually means gift of God, and Theodora means divine love. So 2 standout meanings just packed into one name with the lovely long form and then the really trendy nickname. What do you think of Teddy for a girl? I really, really adore it, and I love it for boys, but it feels like quite classic for boys, whereas for girls it feels a real it girl modern vibe. There were 10 girls named just Teddy last year, but if you want to have again this sort of juxtaposition and this choice, then you could go with the 2 together. Vivienne. Always such a pretty French name. It's actually the name also of the Lady of the Lake in Arthurian legend, which I didn't know. I think Vivienne is really, really gorgeous. And then it gives you Vinny as a really sweet nickname. There's no girls named Vinny at the moment, so it'd be really different. But with so many Evies, it really seems to work in Ivy vibes as well, doesn't it, Vinny? And I think it would be really, really wearable on a girl. There are 111 Viviennes, angel number. That stands out to you. 69 girls were called Persephone last year. I see this on a lot of guilty pleasure lists, but we're not always brave enough to use it. But I know so many of you absolutely love the idea of using Persephone, this goddess of the underworld, goddess of spring. When she came up, she brought the spring and the summer. When she went down, it was autumn, winter, into the underworld. And then with the nickname Percy. So a lot of us are crushing on Percy for a girl. It is totally unranked for a girl, but it has had 3 or more a few years ago. It sort of comes in and then comes out, so it's sort of dipping under the 3 threshold. So again, really trendy. What do you think? Both really, really brave. This is definitely for a brave namer, which I know a lot of you are, or just on your guilty pleasure list. One of my crush boy names for girls is Andy. Obviously ever since How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, which surely we're all obsessed with it, our favourite movie. There were actually 6 girls named Andy, spelt this way with the just I, and then 5 girls with the IE. I thought it'd be the other way around, but for a long form I was trying to think of a really one that I love, and a name that is totally unranked, bizarrely, because I think it's so lovely, is the name Annalise. So do you remember Annalise from Neighbours? Me and my sister were obsessed with her lip liner, but I just think the name Annalise is really surprised that it's unranked. It's really gorgeous, really flowy, really unique, and it gives you that beautiful Andy as a nickname. Elodie means foreign witches. It's a vintage name that has come newly into style again, but it gives you Eddie, which gives you fab vibes. I love Eddie for a girl. I think it is really fashionable, really trendy. Eddie means prosperous friend, so it's kind of perfect for that ab fab vibe, but it's really different and you don't hear it so often. I like it spelled E-D-I. It used to be for her, it was more like Edwina, but that name's sort of gone back out of style. So I do feel like with Elodie, it gives you that what I'm looking for, which is that really, really pretty whimsy name with this stronger nickname. Elodie with Eddie. Winifred, no surprise, this is for Freddy, but I do feel like it's worth mentioning because I love the name Winifred. Obviously I have a Freddy who's a boy, but I do know a neighbour 2 doors down from me has Freddy for a girl who's Frederica, but I feel like with Winifred it gives you Winnie or Freddy, so she could sort of play around, or you could play around with a nickname. When she's little she could be Winnie, when she's a teen she could be Freddy, and she can kind of choose. I just think Freddy is so pretty as a name. Obviously I love it, but I think that that name blend works so well with the vintage and then the really trendy modern boyish nickname. The name Billy for a girl. So Billy is one of the ones that we've heard a lot for girls, thinking of Billie Holiday, and it is ranking. There were 296 girls just called Billy, and I think you could 100% go with it just as a full first name. But if you're not too sure, then you could go Willow, because obviously traditionally it was William went to Billy, and Willow's one of our really top 20 names. Or if you're looking for something more unique, you could go with Sybil. With the B-I-L lends it perfectly to nickname Billy. Sybil means prophetess, a real throwback vintage name. There were only 37 girls called Sybil, so bizarrely you'd have the longer name would be more rare than the nickname, but I think that works so well. I think Sybil is absolutely adorable, and I think on a little baby Sybil would just be out of this world. A nickname meaning crown or garland, sort of like a flower garland you can think of, is Stevie. So Stevie has been riding through the charts. Stevie Nicks vibes, very, very 70s. And I was like, what if you weren't brave enough to go just for Stevie? It often comes up as Stephanie, but that feels a little bit outdated, even though it's a really, really beautiful name. So I thought, how about Scandinavian Stina? So this is actually my sister-in-law's name. I think it's so pretty, Stina. Really elegant, very Scandi sounding, quite minimalist, and then gives you Stevie as a nickname if you're not brave enough to go full on with it. Welsh for love is the lovely name Caris. I'm really surprised that this is much more down the bottom of the chart than the nickname that I'm about to mention for it as well, but they're both quite rare. So Caris is Welsh. I feel like it's a really familiar one to a lot of us. It's really, really easy to say and spell, and Welsh names are just always adorable. I love the meaning of love. There were only 46 babies called Caris last year, and it gives you Reese as a nickname. So Reese, funny enough, you think of Reese Witherspoon more with the E-E-C-E spelling, and I really love it. It's very, very hip, it's very contemporary, it's more urban than maybe a Caris. So it's really unusual sort of pairing. There were actually 84 boys named Reese, but no girls whatsoever. And you would think that Reese Witherspoon would influence a few of us, Legally Blonde fans, to use it. But yeah, Caris with nickname Reese. What do you think? Another Welsh one is a name I absolutely am crushing on at the moment. It's the name Delith. I just think this is so pretty. I've got it in my name book actually. I'm just like, where has this name come from? How have I never heard it before? It is so pretty. It means beautiful as well. So it literally means how it sounds. And I thought with nickname Del. So Del was kind of for Derek, you think a Del boy, but also a Del is a small valley. So again, quite Welsh vibes. I think of the Welsh valleys, but it's beautiful. I love Del. I think that it's got that really lovely understated nature meaning, and then you've got Delith as this longer name. Not technically so gender neutral if you don't think of Del that often for our boys at the moment. Della with the A was given to 43 girls as a first name last year, but absolutely no Dels. I think it's beautiful. Ranked at number 961 is one of the most beautiful names on the block, and it's the name Seraphina, which means angel. She was a big angel, very famous angel, so the name actually means fiery, sorry, but she was the angel of all the angels, and it gives you Finn as a nickname, which I think is really lovely, or even Finley. Some people like that for a girl, and Finn meaning fair, fair soldier or fair warrior. And I think again, it's just that perfect little cute nickname for a beautifully long and glamorous girl name. So if you're not sure necessarily about using a more gender neutral name for a pretty long name, I also looked at some sort of those guilty pleasure word names that we all sort of love, but maybe aren't brave enough to use, and how you could use a more traditional name to bring it into your family. So for example, if you love Dovey, which I do, it is one of my favourite names. You could go with something like Paloma, which is a bit more traditional Spanish name, which means dove, and then use the nickname Dovey is how I'm going with this. So you see what I'm doing here, using the meaning to create a nickname or an association. These are kind of quite fun. So also you could go with something like Evangeline, which means bringer of good news, and then go with Angel, because Angel is literally in the middle of the name. I love the name Angel. I would 100% have gone with it. My husband would have vetoed it. I would have said Evangeline, he would have gone yes, and then I'd have called it Angel forever. I heard on a podcast a guy, he had a daughter called Gloria, and I was like, God, I love the name Gloria, what a throwback. And then he was like, we call her Glow, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know why, I just fell in love with it. I thought that was so sweet. The name I really loved, and we did actually consider, well I did, I don't know if Henry was just stringing me along, with the name Tiger, because we both really liked it, but he no way would have been brave enough for it. I don't even know how he entertained this conversation, but we both were like talking about it, and then we were like, don't know if it suits us, he's definitely not brave enough. But I thought, how about the name Tegan? And then Tegan, Welsh name meaning beautiful, is unranked. And actually, I know a Tegan, so I was really surprised to see no one is using it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And it gives you Tiggy, which is trendy, or Tiger, which is even cooler. So that could just be her little nickname, her little family name. If you love the name Tiger, but not sure about full on using it. There were actually 5 girls named Tiger as a first name and 14 boys last year. So it is out there. Go with it if you're brave enough. But if, like me, you're sort of trying to meet 2 different styles, then Tegan with Tiger, chef's kiss. Astoria, quite a grand name as well, and maybe not so popular as some of the others, Astoria, but it is newly popular. It only went into the charts in 2021, but it is getting some use, and I really love it. It's the Greek goddess of star, so it means starry one, and then it gives you story if you're really crushing on really wanting to use the name Story but not sure you can get it over the line. Then you could go with classic Astoria and then have Story as her obvious nickname. She'd only ever be called that. My last 2 are total wild cards. So I did Clover. I do love the name Clover, and it's got love in the middle, and then I thought the nickname could be Lucky because it's so lucky to find a clover. I thought that was quite adorable. Maybe I've gone a bit into my own wild cards. And then I did Penelope. It works with any P name, Sweet Pea. I think Sweet Pea is such an adorable nickname. Those are more nicknames, aren't they, as first names? But I love this list. If you enjoyed it, let me know more you would add to it below or your favourites. Don't forget, pick up our book. This is you and me who have done this. It's been so many years of making these videos, and it's all poured into this amazing book for you guys. I would be so proud to see this on any of your shelves, and I know you're proud of me, and I know my sister's proud of me as well. It's all dedicated to my lovely sister. 2 years since her funeral yesterday, so it feels really fitting that this is out this week. And yes, I hope you have a wonderful week. Enjoy naming babies. Say hi below. Lots of love, everyone. See you next Monday.